Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I want to thank each of you for being here with us tonight and for taking the time out of your busy schedules to participate in this important process that's part of our organizational's leadership process. I first want to express my sincere appreciation to everyone who has been willing to put their name forward for consideration. Serving in a leadership role is a meaningful commitment, and your willingness to step up and share your talents and help guide the future of our organization is truly appreciated. I also want to take a moment and just introduce myself. My name is Raley. I have been the chair of the Nominations and Elections Committee for the Kentucky Nurses Association for 2026. It's been a real pleasure, and it's been quite an interesting process being the chair of this committee. But I want to take time right now to recognize and thank the members of the Nominations and Elections Committee who have been so faithful and have helped me through this process. The members are Ann Afton, Ashley Lacey, Shannon Allen, and Brian Merrick. Their time and dedication, and of course, the thoughtful work that went behind the scenes to help move us forward through this process has been invaluable. I'm so grateful for each and every one of them, and if you're on the call, I appreciate you being here tonight to support us through this process with all of the other committed individuals on this call. So just remember, tonight is about connection. We're going to learn about our candidates, and this is going to continue to build strong leadership for the future. So thank you again to all of you who are candidates tonight. And I thank you for your leadership for the future. Thank you for your willingness to be involved, for your support of our organization, and for being here with us this evening. So just remember, we appreciate you, I appreciate you, and we look forward to hearing your presentations tonight. I also want to turn the floor over to our president, Joanne Ray, for a few words, if she would please. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I want to echo what Mary said and thank each of you all that have stepped up to be a candidate on a committee or a cabinet. Your leadership on these committees and cabinets help the KNA move forward in everything they do. And I just want to thank each of you all for taking the time tonight to come forward and discuss the reasons why you want to be part of the KNA, and we are so excited to have you here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. And I'd like to ask Donna Fischetti if she would also like to say a few words. She is our interim executive director. And Donna, welcome.
Yeah, of course. Well, I guess at this point, I'm going to echo both Mary and Joanne. You know what? I just want to thank the Nominations and Elections Committee so much for all the hard work that you have done. I was on that committee a few years ago, and I really understand, the hard work that goes into the process of finding candidates, and then also our staff, Sherry Chandler and Justin Barnes, for supporting this committee and helping us get to where we are today with this great ballot. And also a big shout out to Joanne Ray, our president, and Renee, our president-elect. Also, candidates, thank you for helping and willing to share your time and your talent. So thank you for that willingness, and good luck to each and every one of you. And I look forward to hearing what you have to share with us tonight. Thanks, Mary.
Well, thank you, Donna. It's just been a pleasure to work with you and Joanne and Renee. And you all have certainly been the guiding light for me. And also I want to say that the staff, Sherry, Justin, and Jay, have been so wonderful to help me and answer all my questions. So it has been really a cooperative effort. All right, so let's go on ahead and kick off these candidate presentations. And I want to go ahead and announce the first one for board of directors, and that is going to be the treasurer's position. And our first candidate is Denise Beach.
Hello, I'm Denise Beach. I've been a registered nurse for 36 years. I've been working in nursing management for most of that time, really. I worked in pediatrics at the hospital, and then I went into management for what is now Baptist Health. I was director of nursing. And I transitioned to public health 26 years ago. And I was director of nursing for 13 years. And now I've been public health director, which is a chief executive officer position for health departments for 13 years. And I got back into nursing. I decided I wanted a doctorate. My bachelor's is in nursing, but my master's is in human development and leadership with an emphasis in nonprofit administration. So I never totally gave up nursing. I've always been involved in clinic, knowing what's going on and giving advice and writing protocols and things like that. But I have been quite administrative for the last 13 years. And when I was asked about joining KNA, I have been on Kentucky Public Health Association Board of Directors. I have been on CADA, which is the Health Department Director Group. I just finished serving on the executive committee for the West region on those. And since I was heavily involved in both of those public health organizations, then I had not joined KNA, and I had some strong leadership from you all that asked me about being involved in KNA with some friends. And so I'm really glad I joined, and I started working on my doctorate, going back to nursing. I'm retiring at the end of this month so that I'll have more time to be involved in KNA. I am planning on going back to work, but not in a CEO position, maybe something in nursing. My experience in financials is I do run the health department. We have over a $5 million budget. I plan the budget, write contracts, MOUs. I follow financial protocols, ensure separation of duties. I follow purchasing laws and requirements, quotes and bids, conflict of interest, ethics in finances. The health department, when I started as director, we had 8 weeks of finances, and that is considered not financially solvent in a government organization. You should have 12 weeks of expenses, and we now have 30. I have never had, I've been audited yearly by our CPAs in Kentucky Department of Public Health.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Thank you so much for that presentation, Denise. And I understand that you have to leave. Glad you got to be first. Thank you very much. All right, so our next positions are Board of Director at Large, and our first candidate is April Hester. April?
Afternoon, everybody. I would also like to echo the sentiments of just saying thank you all for attending tonight and for everybody pledging your time and your talent to the KNA. I did write something quickly because I'm long-winded and I knew Renee would get the time noose out on me. So my name is April Hester. I am very honored to be considered as Director at Large to the KNA. I become involved with KNA because I believe that nurses deserve more than just that seat at the table. We're always striving to get that seat at the table, but I think we deserve a little more. We deserve a strong, unified voice that helps shape the future of healthcare in Kentucky, not just nursing, but healthcare policy experts is my goal. As a CRNA and business owner, former board member and current board member to the KNA, current chair of the Governmental Affairs Cabinet, I've had the privilege of working with nurses across all specialties, legislators, and healthcare leaders to turn ideas into action. Advocacy is not just about policy, but it's about listening, building those long-lasting relationships, and making sure that concerns of all nurses throughout the Commonwealth are heard. I believe that KNA's greatest strength is its members. Our future depends on engaging nurses, not just a bit at the beginning, not at the end, but through every stage of their career, creating opportunities for involvement and showing the value they have to belong to a professional organization. My leadership style is built on collaboration, transparency, accountability, and action. I believe strong organizations grow when members feel connected, informed, and empowered, and that's my goal. If elected as director at large, I'll continue working to expand member engagement, strengthen partnerships, support future nurse leaders, and advocate for issues impacting all nurses every day. And again, I'm very excited about where Kentucky Nurses Association can go. And I would be grateful for that opportunity to continue to serve the members, our association, and the overall profession. I respectfully ask for your vote for the KNA Director at Large. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you very much, April. Good job. Our other candidate for the Board of Director at Large position was unable to be here this evening. So we're going to move on to the next speaker for Education and Research Cabinet. And the first presenter is for staff nurse, and this is Maggie McMahon.
Hello, I'm Maggie McMahon. I've been a nurse for 8 years this year. My background was in emergency and flight medicine, and recently in the last year, I've transitioned to occupational health at a steel mill. Really enjoyed that. Didn't know there was this whole side of nursing. I also served in the last year on the Education and Research Committee as a staff nurse, and I really saw the value of what we're doing to take care of Kentucky nurses and take care of not only the nurses, but the patients as well. The research projects that were presented to us were things that had been brought up in my career many times, and I had no idea that they were being looked at by something as big and broad as the KNA, and it really meant a lot to me that we're doing this work behind the scenes. I respectfully ask for a re-election and a revote into the Education and Research Committee. I've really enjoyed my time with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. That was a great presentation. Our next position is nurse faculty, and this is Taylor Ray Berrickman. Taylor?
My name is Taylor. I currently work at the Baptist Health Emergency Department. I've been a nurse for 3 years. I graduated from the MEPN program at U of L. It's a master's entry to professional nursing program that they had. And I was lucky enough to receive a scholarship actually from the KNA as an honor cord member and a scholarship recipient. Turning this back into something that I can serve others with is something that I'm passionate about. I too wrote something down because I can be long-winded, and I know that Renee will get me for that. So I care immensely about education, mentorship, and evidence-based practice. I demonstrate that through many different councils that I serve on at Baptist Health Louisville. And I believe that when we invest in nursing through education and professional development, it not only strengthens our individuals, but it can change healthcare across the Commonwealth. I hope that I receive your vote and so that I can bring a collaborative spirit, a willingness to learn more, and a commitment to support other nurses across the state. I'm passionate about finding space where nurses feel empowered to not only ask questions, but to pursue lifelong learning. And I hope to translate most of our evidence-based practice into real, tangible things that our nurses can take with them as they go. It would be a privilege to serve alongside of fellow nurse leaders like Maggie and to promote excellence in nursing, education, and encourage innovation to be an advocate for our future profession. So I hope that you guys consider me in your votes.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Taylor. Really do appreciate that. All right, our next position under the Education and Research Cabinet is for nurse researcher, and that is Connie Lamb.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for an opportunity to introduce myself here to you this afternoon. And I too can get long-winded, especially when I get a platform to speak about nursing education. So I have a few notes written down, and I'm going to try to stick to that so I stay in my time limit. But as she said, my name is Connie Lamb, and I am honored to be a candidate for Education and Research Cabinet. I've been a registered nurse for 30 years, and over 25 of those years I've dedicated to nursing education. Throughout my entire career, I've had the opportunity to serve practical nursing students, associate degree, and baccalaureate students, and I've mentored students in master's programs and the DNP. I've served in leadership roles that have allowed me to both mentor faculty and students, shape existing programs, and be a leader in building brand new programs. Today, I serve as the Associate Professor and Chair of the Nursing Department at Asbury University in Wilmore, where I've had the distinct privilege of leading the development of a new BSN program for Asbury. And it would just be an honor if I could serve the Kentucky Nurses Association and work alongside each of you to advance our profession across the Commonwealth. But I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your consideration. And most of all, I want to just thank you for everything that you do for our profession. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Connie. I appreciate that comment that you made. All right. Our next candidates are for the Governmental Affairs Cabinet, and we have 6 member-at-large candidates for 3 positions. And the first one is Vanessa Fisk. You have the floor.
Hello, everyone. I'm honored to speak with nurses across Kentucky. As member-at-large candidate for the KNA Government Affairs Cabinet, I will work to amplify nurses' voices and serve as a steadfast advocate for our profession and the patients we care for. For those of you who don't know me, I've been a nurse for 20 years. I've been in healthcare since I was a teenager. Started off as an activity assistant, CNA, LPN, RN, got my BSN, and now I have my MSN in nursing informatics. This experience has taken me across emergency department, research, leadership, pop health, and like I said, in clinical informatics manager currently. And I've seen firsthand how policy decisions can affect nursing at the bedside. This background gives me a broad perspective across diverse settings, systems, and communities. The informatics side of things has strengthened my ability to evaluate systems and policies carefully and critically and apply evidence-informed decision-making. I'm not afraid to ask hard questions and challenge the way it has always been and pursue meaningful solutions when they're meaningful improvement when solutions are possible. I firmly support KNA's legislative priorities. Kentucky needs greater access to SANE nurses so survivors receive timely, expert care during moments of profound trauma. Nurses need workforce safe staffing. We need school nurses so children can have consistent access to chronic, everyday, and emergency health needs. And we must also address workplace safety. Nurses are being assaulted in healthcare settings while arriving at work and while leaving their shifts. Violence cannot be accepted as part of our answering a call. Felony charges for assaulting health professionals matter, but we must also pursue proactive protections and prevention strategies. From Appalachia to Park DeVal to Paducah and everywhere in between, I'll represent members and nurses across the Commonwealth with integrity, transparency, and accountability. When decisions affect our practice, profession, or patients, nurses must have a seat at that table and we must ensure our voices are heard. We've got to protect our profession and bridge that gap between policymakers and healthcare professionals. Through active listening, collaboration, and clear communication, I'll provide representation that KNA members can trust and be proud of. I envision a future where the nurses are sought out as the experts on matters that affect our care, our profession, and our patients, and not treated as an afterthought. I welcome the opportunity to advocate on your behalf and would be honored to earn your vote. Thank you for your time, consideration, and the work you do every day for nurses and patients across Kentucky.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Vanessa. Our next candidate is Ashley Root.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to introduce myself. I'm going to echo a lot of Vanessa's priorities. I think most of us can feel the need for all of the things that she articulated. So just a little introduction about myself. I've been a nurse for 16 years. My name's Ashley Rout, in case I forgot to say that in the beginning. I've been primarily in critical care for the last 16 years, but I recently converted myself to an ER nurse, and I'm actually the nurse manager down at the ER Baptist Health Louisville. So advocacy did not come naturally to me. It started from trying to find my own voice for what we need at the bedside and finding the barriers that were communicated to me for making sure that patients and families receive the best care they can from the nurses who are the nurses who care for them. And it was hard for me to understand why we didn't always have what we needed. And it was a traveling experience through the KNA's advocacy day not that long ago that was really enlightening to me. And an experience that actually led me to the KNA's advocacy day was an AONL conference. And so advocacy is new to me. I've been exploring it for about the last year, and it fits all the pieces together for me, from critical care to emergency medicine to, the need for school nurses and healthcare providers in our community. It really ties it together for me that we need to be able to connect with our local and state representatives and senators and make that connection to bridge that gap for the knowledge that they may need from us. And it's an amazing thing to see and watch, and I just want a chance to participate in it. I am a graduate of Bellarmine University and University of Louisville for my undergraduate, my first graduate degree. I recently started a postgraduate program at Johns Hopkins University for healthcare organizational leadership. And I'm hoping to tie in a lot of my passion for both leadership and advocacy together and see what I can do for the state of Kentucky and nurses, because I want to be a voice and I want to help connect that and be that bridge from the frontline nursing staff to legislation and how we can find that way to make sure that we're heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate your presentation. Our next presenter is Patricia Howard.
Good evening. I'm Patty Coons Howard, and I'm very pleased to have an opportunity to share some of my views around how important advocacy is for KNA and nurses collectively around Kentucky, as well as, of course, around literally the global world. I am no stranger to advocacy. I have been involved in advocacy in many different roles over many years. I've been an emergency nurse for more than 40 years at this point, and my current role is as the Enterprise Director for Emergency Services for the University of Kentucky Healthcare in Lexington. I also have a part-time graduate faculty role at the College of Nursing. I joined KNA in 1992, so it's been a few minutes, and over the years, I have had many different levels of opportunity to participate at different roles at KNA, as well as nationally at ANA, and most recently was one of the liaisons for the Emergency Nurses Association to KNA. And then in 2019 was asked to speak on behalf of KNA at the Capitol Rotunda about workplace violence prevention. And obviously, as an emergency nurse, one of my biggest passions is workplace violence prevention. And that is not just an emergency nursing problem, it is a nursing problem, as we all know. And honestly, it's bigger than just nursing, but we are focused on nursing tonight, and so that's what I'm going to talk about. I have done many things throughout my career around workplace violence prevention. I launched workplace violence prevention as the 2019 ENA president as really a priority for that organization, and actually helped launch the No Silence on ED Violence, and then had a role working with Carolyn Jones on In Case of Emergency, which really tells the story of violence in the emergency department, but also violence in healthcare. And then more recently worked with her on American Delivery, which is about the shame across this country of maternal deaths. And of course, Kentucky has a significant problem. I realize that's a diverse focus for an emergency nurse, but I was very passionate about making sure that population also had the attention they needed from an advocacy perspective. I, of course, support all of the KNA initiatives around public policy, and certainly the things that have already been articulated by the previous speakers. But I would be wrong if I did not say that I will tirelessly work for workplace violence prevention, because while we have some protection, we need more protection. And while I certainly am passionate about specialty organizations, I joined KNA and ANA in 1992 because they are the preeminent voice for nursing in their states and then across the country. And I believe that if something is good for nursing, it is good for nursing. And so we have to support each other no matter what our specialty or our focus is. And workplace violence prevention is important to all of us. Certainly, I'm an emergency nurse, so making sure that all of our victims of interpersonal violence have adequate, sane coverage is important. And I, of course, have grandchildren in school, so I advocate, obviously, clearly for school nurses. but I believe that we have so much more work that we could do for workplace violence prevention.
Patty, thank you.
Sorry, I can talk all day.
I know you're long-winded like others, so you're good.
Thank you so much, Patty. I know how passionate you are, so thank you for your comments. All right, our next speaker is Stephanie Keeler.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to give my dogs a bone so they're quiet here for a minute. Here we go. Okay, my name is Stephanie Keeler, and I am very appreciative of the opportunity to meet with everyone here tonight and my nomination for the Governmental Affairs Cabinet. So I also in the Patricia Howard corner of workplace safety and violence prevention. I've done some kind of side training and some work on that. I was a sexual assault nurse examiner, and I've learned a lot about violence, its effects on folks, and and we shouldn't have to go to a job where we aren't safe. And so I really think that it's important to advocate for that. And I just wanted to say that before I forgot, but a little bit about myself. I was a second degree nursing student at the University of Kentucky. I graduated in 2013 and I went to work at UK in the ICU, and I was working there for 3 years, and I decided that what I really liked doing was teaching and being involved in education. So I went back, got my PhD, and started to work in the College of Nursing at UK, and I was there for almost 10 years, and I ended up being the director of the clinical simulation and learning center there, where I worked to develop and plan for the new health education building. And we did an expansion for some more simulation space, so I was very involved in all of that planning. And a year later, I took a position at the Kentucky Maternal Morbidity and Mortality Task Force. So with that group, it's a lot more kind of public health framework. And we are working to educate providers across the state in maternal health, particularly maternal health. My part is maternal health emergencies. So I would like to advocate for expansion of maternal health protocols and standards for emergency care for obstetric patients, including our EMS folks. And so I feel passionately about that. And then lastly, my simulation's my heart. So I love all things simulation, and have a lot of experience with simulation and growth and program development and those things, and providing simulation through education, I feel is a value add to education across the state.
Stephanie.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Great job. Thanks.
So thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate your energy. Our next speaker is Annie Stefan. Annie?
Evening, everybody. I'd like to echo the others that have spoken in front of me, that we appreciate the chance for you to get to know us and understand why we are so passionate about advocacy and want to work with governmental affairs. I too wrote stuff down, because when I get passionate about something, I have a tendency to run down that rabbit hole, and Renee would be cutting me off as well. I've been practicing nursing for 45 years. I started my career at Children's, and the last 30 have been with St. Elizabeth, which is in the northern part of the state, in peri-anesthesia services. I've served in leadership roles throughout my profession, as well as within my faith and my community. ASPAN is the governing body for peri-anesthesia nurses, and within ASPAN, I have served on their Governmental Affairs Cabinet for the last 4 years. I've represented them at the AONL Advocacy Days in Washington, D.C. for the last 2 years. I was, along with me and another one of the members of the Governmental Affairs, we co-authored a letter that we sent out to the membership for them to send out to their legislators to advocate for workplace safety. And I was on the team that revised our Governmental Affairs Primer, so we can help educate the members about being involved in advocacy and the legislative procedures. Within the KNA, I'm a 2025 graduate of the Legislative and Advocacy Academy. My capstone project was establishing the KNA LGBTQ plus SNP, which I currently chair. In March of this year, we were asked to present at the Synchronicity Conference in Washington, D.C. It's a national conference that promotes health and welfare of the LGBTQ plus community. And they were very interested in the fact that a nursing organization was willing to stand up and advocate for the LGBTQ plus community, especially in the times that we're living in now. I also sat on the KNA board of directors, and I've attended the Nurses Day at the Capitol in the last 2 years here in Kentucky. On the Governmental Affairs Cabinet, I feel the purpose is fourfold. We need to work at improving healthcare standards, to work for equity of healthcare services, work with the legislator with our concerns concerning healthcare policy and programs, and advance the profession of nursing. As nurses, I feel advocacy is a calling. By being nurses, we are called to advocacy. Our code of ethics backs this up. Being the voice for those we serve, collaboration is our superpower. Every day at the bedside, we work with multiple interdisciplinary teams to guarantee that we've got the best outcomes for our patients.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All right. Thank you, Annie. And our last candidate is Megan Taylor. Megan.
Hello, my name's Megan Taylor. Like she just said, I am so excited to be here and hopeful to be able to put hard work on to this position. I cannot say better than like Vanessa and Ashley and those who came before me said about the issues facing nursing right now. They did an excellent job, and I would love to learn from them. I'm not succinct, and I wish I had written something down. So you'll get to cut me off as well. I have been a nurse for 8 years. I worked in TCU for several of those. I absolutely loved advocating for patients, as a lot of us did. A couple years into COVID times, I took a little quote unquote break, went and worked in care coordination, outpatient, and it really showed me a lot of the things that we need to advocate for our patients, SDOH things and things that are happening in government that are affecting these patients outside of the hospital all the time. And so I got really, really passionate about advocacy for patients in that aspect. I have always loved advocating for nurses. I've been on a lot of site-based councils and things of that nature. I hate it when nurses can't love their job. I think we all love nursing, and I think it's very hard when we see friends who leave the bedside or leave nursing altogether for various reasons, the violence, staffing, etc. Yeah, actually, in the past couple of years, have been working as faculty at Northern Kentucky University, and I love nursing so much, and I want my students to love nursing, not just as new grads, but forever. I don't want to see them leaving the bedside. And so I really am very passionate, and I want to make it so that all of our nurses know we're working hard for them and making things better, because nurses bring everything to the table. So I'm super excited. I'm actually working on my doctorate as well, and I'm working with, I want to look at workload-based staffing. So St. Elizabeth, the system up here, there in the year, improve how workload scoring looks. And so I got to go sit through and see how they do that. I want to look at maybe workload-based staffing, see how that can help nurses with our current staffing issues and things like that. But I would just be so excited to learn alongside these other folks if I was able to be on this board, and I will put all the hard work into it I can if you were to vote for me.
All right. Thank you very much, Megan. We appreciate your comments. So that was our 6 candidates for the member at large positions on the Governmental Affairs Cabinet. Our next category is Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Cabinet. And our first presenter is for the administrator position, and that is Paige Cooksey. Welcome, Paige.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paige. I've been a nurse for 6 years now. In that short time, I have been dedicated to continuing my education. I began my career at bedside as a CNA, became an LPN, RN, obtained my BSN, and then most recently a Master's of Science in Healthcare Administration. I'm also currently working on my Master's of Business Administration. I'm in the final semester with a projected graduation of August 2026. I currently work in the role of Chief Nursing Officer, and I'm incredibly proud to be able to be a voice of for all the nurses in my facility. On a local level, I participate on my facility's ethics committee and governing board. Through this work, I've realized how valuable it is to be able to take feedback from nursing staff and implement changes that benefit not only the staff's day-to-day well-being, but our patients. Through my clinical background, I have a strong knowledge of the strengths and scope of practice of nursing at each level. So with that, I'm very passionate about empowering nurses of all educational levels and backgrounds. My reasoning for hoping to serve with the KNA is I hope to expand my impact and collaborate at a larger level to advocate for the professional development of nurses all across Kentucky. I would appreciate your votes, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be here and speak and hopefully serve in the role of administrator for the Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paige. I appreciate your comments. All right, so we're moving to the next candidates for the 2 staff nurse position that we have nominations for. Neither of the 2 are able to be here tonight, but I do have a note from Jessica Jones, and I'm going to just read that to you now. So she says, hello, everyone. I would like to offer my sincerest apologies for my absence this evening. Just as many of you are, I am a working professional and I had a prior commitment that I could not reschedule. My name is Jessica A. Jones, and I am seeking the position as staff nurse on the Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Cabinet. I am a registered nurse and have been working in my local emergency department since 2022. I earned my associate's degree in nursing from Eastern Kentucky University, obtained my bachelor's degree in nursing from the University of the Cumberlands, and I am currently pursuing a master's degree in nursing from Northern Kentucky University. So, why would you entrust me to serve in this position? Although some would argue that I am a young nurse, I consider myself to be an old lady when it comes to advocacy. As a child, I can distinctly remember being the one to stand up to bullies when they were picking on the proverbial little guys. Into adulthood, I have made it a priority to build relationships with the elderly in my neighborhood, to show them that they are not alone in the world. Then, to my husband's vexation, there is the many abandoned and unwanted animal that has magically shown up at my doorstep, only to find a forever home. Without too much more rambling, I have a heart of an advocate. The reason I became a nurse was to be able to care for those who do not have anyone, to be their voice, and to show them that they matter. Since becoming a nurse, I have found another population that is deserving of advocacy: nurses. The men and women who make up the nursing workforce are undoubtedly the most worthy and at the same time the least likely to ask for an advocate. I ask that you honor me with your vote and choose me to be their advocate. Allow me the great privilege to serve you and our fellow nurses. Regardless of the outcome, I do want to thank everyone for allowing me to be a part of this candidate forum. And an incredibly special thanks to Ms. Raley for reading this in my absence. And that is from Jessica Jones. All right, our next candidate, Jennifer Isaacs, was unable to be here tonight. So we'll move on to our next position, which is educator. And we have 3 candidates for those roles. So our first one is Rachel Bentley.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Bentley. I've been a nurse and in healthcare for 15 years, almost 15 years now, either in quality improvement, critical care nursing, or nursing professional development. I've been serving in the professional nursing practice and advocacy cabinet for the last 2 years as the educator representative. That role really gave me the opportunity to listen, learn, and really advocate for our nurses through the lens of education and professional development. And then when the opportunity arose to serve in the chair position, really leading the group, I stepped into that role with one goal, and that was really to continue to build on the strong foundation that had already been established, and really just to help move our initiatives forward. I saw tremendous potential, not just to continue the cabinet's work, but to create new opportunities for nurses across Kentucky to connect, grow, and lead. So recently, together, we've launched The Value of the Nurse, Purpose, Power, and Partnership. It's a new series. It's really created helpful, meaningful conversations around purpose advocacy, psychological safety, and professional practice. And more importantly, we fostered collaboration among nurses really from all backgrounds, diverse practice settings, and really tried to be considerate of all career stages because our profession is strongest really when all of our voices are represented. Our work isn't finished. I would like to continue this work. So healthcare continues to evolve. Our cabinet has an important responsibility to advocate for healthy work environments, support professional nursing practice, develop future nurse leaders, and ensure nurses across our Commonwealth have a strong voice in shaping our profession. Leadership, to me, it's really never been about holding a title. It's about serving others. That's why I was initially interested in joining KNA, to bring people together to create opportunities for meaningful change. So that's the approach I've taken and will continue to take, either in the education representative role or chair, leading the group once more. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you for this time, and just thank you for your trust, your partnership, and hopefully your vote. Have a great evening. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And I apologize. I misspoke. I forgot to say that you were running for chair. So congratulations on your nomination for chair of this committee.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so our next presenter for this role of educator is Keith Mullins. Keith, would you take the stand here?
I would love to. Thank you. First of all, thank everyone for being here tonight and allowing me to speak to everyone. And thank you for your consideration for being able to serve on the Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Committee. I look very forward to potentially taking this role. So just to introduce myself, my name is Keith Mullins. I am a nursing faculty member at Bluegrass Community and Technical College in Lexington, and I work on the Leestown campus. I've been a nurse for over 30 years. I know I don't look it that well, but yep, 30 years I've been a nurse with a vast experience over those 30 years, spanning in many different specialty areas throughout my career. These experiences have really provided me with a broad perspective on patient care, on the different healthcare systems, and the evolving role of the professional nurse and the importance of advocacy. During the past 5 years, I've devoted my career to nursing education, where I have focused and found great fulfillment in preparing and mentoring the next generation of nurses, which is a very challenging role, I might add. I am seeking to serve on the Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Committee with the Kentucky Nursing Associations because I am very passionate about the advancement and the advancing of the nursing profession and advocating for nurses across our Commonwealth. KNA does a wonderful job for us nurses within Kentucky, and I would truly be honored to be a part of the committee there with the Kentucky Nurses Association. So throughout my career, I have witnessed the critical impact that strong professional standards, evidence-based practice, and effective nursing advocacy have on patient outcomes, and of course, the workforce development. As both a seasoned clinician and an educator, I am truly committed to supporting initiatives that strengthen nursing practice, promoting professional growth, and one that amplifies the voices of nurses in healthcare policy and the legislative matters. I believe my diverse community background and clinical background, as well as my educational experiences and dedication to service, would allow me to contribute meaningful to the committee's mission of advancing excellence in nursing practice, and of course, advocating for our profession of nursing throughout Kentucky. Again, I thank you for this opportunity to speak, and hopefully with your vote, be able to fill one of these positions and become a very integral part of the Kentucky Nurses Association. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening.
Well, thank you very much, Keith. We appreciate your comments. All right, so we have one presenter who wasn't able to be here tonight. Betty Kuiper is also nominated for the position of educator. And Betty did send some comments for me to read to the group and to read to our membership. She says, to KNA members, it is an honor to be a candidate for the educator on the Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Cabinet. Unfortunately, I cannot be with you tonight, but I wanted to share my thoughts on why I want to be part of this cabinet. I am an associate professor at WKCTC in Paducah. I am currently concerned about how much students rely on AI-generated information without verifying the resources. In the clinical arena, I have professionally witnessed the students' inability to problem solve at the bedside. I believe students adapt AI information to meet their specific needs without questioning the context and the applicability. I do understand and realize students will use AI, but as educators, we can emphasize the importance of applicability so the student can increase independent problem solving. Being a member of this cabinet, I believe KNA can assist in bringing this issue to the educators of all nursing programs. Sincerely, Dr. Betty Kuiper. All right, and on to our next committee, which is the Ethics and Human Rights Committee. And running for the chair position is Ann Afton.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ann Afton. I'm very happy to be running as a candidate for the chair of the Ethics and Human Rights Committee. I have 39 years of nursing experience. Majority of my career has been through emergency nursing with management and education, and I continue to support the Emergency Nurses Association with education products and working with our state of Kentucky more on the western side of the state. All of us have been involved with ethical decisions and discussions in our careers in every different aspects as we've gone on. And I intend on enhancing the work that's already been done by this committee and will promote collaboration as well as education throughout the nurses in Kentucky. I have some ideas on what we can share. I will share this with the committee and do some discussions further, but here are some of my ideas. One of them is making sure that all nurses are aware of the code of ethics for nurses and how to apply some of those things in their particular practices. The other thing is I want to review our current mechanism to ask or pose questions or to ask for assistance from the committee or other experts as they are needed. How do they do that? Is that an easy thing to do in our state? I'm also looking for opportunities for case scenarios and case study presentations in various groups, or how that would be well presented and get communication throughout our state. Another possibility is introducing an ethics week somewhere in our calendar year with KNA and promoting ethical and human rights awareness. Another position might be having an ethics corner in our KNA newsletter publication. There are some thoughts as well. But I look forward to continuing to serve on the KNA. I have been on the Nominations Election Committee. I was the chair of it and currently a member of that committee. And I really support nursing in the state of Kentucky. And thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Anne. Appreciate your comments. All right, so we'll move now to the 3 member at-large positions that are available up for nomination and election. Our first one it will be Matt Livers. Let's hear your presentation, Matt.
Right. Thank you so much. So again, my name is Matt Livers. I have been a member of the KNA for about 5.5 years. I joined in December of 2020 when Delano Manson was helping to coordinate COVID testing clinics here in Louisville, primarily for the unhoused folks in shelters there. I've been a registered nurse for 4 years, working as a staff nurse on a medical, surgical, and telemetry ward here in a Louisville hospital. I am the chair of our unit's Shared Governance Council and have served the last 2 years as a staff nurse on our Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Committee. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to work with several folks, some who are on this call tonight, on bringing quality CEs to KNA members and affiliated nurses in the Commonwealth. I'm excited for the opportunity to serve on the Ethics and Human Rights Committee. I firmly believe that our ethics are what help make ours the most trusted profession in this country. I'm also excited by human rights, both for our patients and our nurses, and have been heavily involved in social justice work, both for disabled Louisvillians and for the LGBTQ plus community. In that spirit, I currently serve on the LGBTQ plus SNP-G for the KNA. I'm keenly aware that the environment new nurses are coming into our complex, involving changing technologies, lowered staffing numbers, and a higher pace of work. All of these are ripe for errors in clinical judgment. With that in mind, I'm interested in the intersection of our ethics and the compassion it takes to meet people who have erred so that we can help get folks out there and provide exceptional, safe care. I'm also interested in collaborating across committees to ensure that we don't develop silos. For instance, the social justice movie night that we hosted for a number of years could be a collaborative effort between the Ethics and Human Rights Committee and the PMPAC. I would greatly appreciate your vote. Thank you so much for your time and the privilege to present this evening.
All right, thank you, Matt. I appreciate your comments. Our next speaker is Gary Spraden, and Gary, you are up.
Good evening. My name is Gary Spradlin, and I'm applying for committee membership on the Ethics and Human Rights Committee. I have been a nurse for 28 years. I have 1 year med-surg experience and then roughly 10 years as an ER nurse. 5 of those ER years I spent as a travel nurse, traveling abroad from little Alaskan hospitals in the Alaskan tundra to level 1 trauma centers in Massachusetts and Seattle, Washington, and some mid-levels in between. The rest of the time I've been working as a house administrator here at the hospital in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Over these years, we've all seen our world rapidly change, and the moral and ethical standards of society has changed greatly just in my lifetime. And we can see these changes that are happening before, as well as these changes that are coming in front of us. And while we have the ANA Code of Ethics for nursing to guide us, I think that as a profession, we have to be aware of the new cultures around us and the ever-changing world it seems that have been thrust into. And we have to be aware of this and be on top of it, and if possible, be in front of these changes. Here in Bowling Green alone, the rise in our immigrant population has been staggering and has thrust us into a crash course in cultural diversity. And with that, there are many times forced into situations in dealing with the human rights while interpreting the cultural belief of a foreign land in our community. This can present new challenges to us as a people and as nurses, not only locally but statewide. So with the committee, I'm hoping to learn more, become more knowledgeable of these needs and issues, and possibly help initiate change where change may be due. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Gary. We had one other nominee who was unable to make the forum tonight. His name is Matthew Garvey. He is working this evening, so wasn't able to attend. All right, so we will now move on to the Nominations and Elections Committee. And this is one of my favorites because this is my team that I'm trying to build. I have two people who have stepped up to be nominees for this position on this committee, and neither one of them can be here tonight. So I'm going to be reading what both of them have sent my way. The first written statement comes from Amber Thomas. And Amber says, I am seeking election to serve on the Nominations and Elections Committee because I value transparent governance, member engagement, and the intentional development of strong leaders within KNA. I believe a thoughtful and equitable nominations process is essential to ensuring our organization continues to grow with diverse, qualified voices that truly reflect the strength of our membership. My interest in this role comes from a desire to contribute to a process that is not only fair and well organized, but also inclusive and accessible to all members. My background in critical care and the emergency department has strengthened my ability to prioritize effectively, pay close attention to detail, and make sound decisions in complex, high-pressure situations. In addition, my experience in academia has enhanced my ability to objectively evaluate qualifications, support professional growth, and engage in diverse groups of individuals. I can encourage individuals who may not traditionally see themselves in leadership roles. Step up to the plate, as leadership does not require a title, but a vision. I believe these combined experiences will allow me to contribute thoughtfully and responsibly to the nominations process and to build a strong pipeline of future leaders. Ultimately, my goal is to support a strong group of candidates who will advance the mission and values of KNA. I would be honored to contribute to this work and support leadership that is inclusive, accountable, and reflective of our profession. Thank you. Okay, that was from Amber Thomas. And the other candidate is April Anderson. And April sends her statement as follows. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. And I apologize for not being able to be there in person with you all. My name is April Anderson, and it is truly an honor to be considered for the Kentucky Nurses Association Nomination and Elections Committee. When I thought about what I wanted you to know about me, I realized it really comes down to one thing: service. Throughout my career, I've never been someone who simply fills a role. When I commit to something, I invest in it, and I stay committed. I've had the privilege of serving my community for more than 20 years with the Harrison County EMS as a critical care paramedic, and for the past 12 years as a registered nurse at Harrison Memorial Hospital. Those experiences have allowed me to care for patients across the continuum from the field to the bedside, and I have shaped the way I approach leadership, teamwork, and advocacy. Beyond direct patient care, I've been fortunate to contribute to nursing and emergency care in other ways. I have worked alongside Mary as she helped me become an EMPC and TNCC course director, serving as a trauma surveyor for level 4 trauma centers across Kentucky, and had the opportunity to help hospitals develop and strengthen their own trauma and emergency preparedness programs. I currently oversee our emergency management, trauma, and SANE programs at Harrison. I also currently serve as the Harrison County Deputy Emergency Management Director, where collaboration and preparation are essential to serving our community. I don't share these experiences because I believe titles define a leader. I share them because they reflect what matters most to me: showing up, doing the work, and staying committed. Whether it's my career, my community, or the organizations I serve, I believe consistency, integrity, and follow-through matter. If elected on the Nominations and Elections Committee, I will bring those same values to this role. I believe that The Kentucky Nurses Association is strongest when nurses from every specialty, every practice setting, and every stage of their career have the opportunity to lead. I will approach this responsibility with fairness, transparency, and a genuine desire to help identify leaders who will continue to move our profession forward. It would be an honor to serve in this organization and to give back to the profession that has given so much to me. I consider it an honor to even be considered for this opportunity. Thank you for your time, your dedication to nursing, and for your consideration. I would truly appreciate your support. All right. So the last position that we have is the editorial board, and our nominee is for member at large is Diane, and I'm going to try to say Schleboy. I hope I said that right. Diane, it's all you.
You said that beautifully. Thank you. Again, as Mary has said, I'm Diane Schleboy. I appreciate everyone's consideration to be elected as a member of the KNA editorial board. I've previously received my undergraduate and graduate degrees and have a PhD degree in nursing. I have a long tenure as a program administrator and nursing faculty member in higher education. I'm currently the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Programs at Bellarmine University while providing administrative oversight of the traditional and accelerated baccalaureate nursing programs. Earlier in my career, I was selected as a fellow in the AACN Leadership for Academic Nursing program and completed a one-year fellowship. As a diabetes researcher for the past 20 years, I have published extensively in peer-reviewed journals, presented at local, regional, and national conferences, and received extramural and intramural grant funding for my scholarly work. I've served as a peer reviewer for more than 10 journals and a grant reviewer for regional, national, and international foundations and research societies. In addition, I have served as a research scholar program coordinator for undergraduate students and a research mentor for them. At the graduate level, I've served as a committee chair and committee member for both PhD and DNP students and continue this mentorship in my current administrative position. During my academic career, I've held various leadership positions in professional organizations and have assumed the role of president, president-elect, treasurer, and secretary positions in Sigma chapters while contributing significantly to each of these chapters' progress and success. I continue to serve on advisory boards in the community to enhance academic practice partnerships with local healthcare agencies. I bring these valuable, diverse professional experiences to KNA and as a future member of the KNA editorial board. I look forward to contributing to the advancement of the nursing profession through these efforts. I greatly appreciate everyone's time this evening and respectfully request your vote to be a member of the KNA editorial board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diane. And I just realized that I have one additional comment that I do need to read. I'm sorry, I overlooked it when I was going through my list. It is for the Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Cabinet member at large. It is from Lisa Cook. She is unable to be here tonight, but she did ask me to share her bio and her statement for this position as member at large. Her name is Lisa Cook. She is running for member at large for the Professional Practice and Advocacy Cabinet. She is a hospital liaison nurse at Bluegrass Care Navigators. Her area of expertise is education and administration. Her education is in the Bluegrass Community and Technical College, and she has her BSN from the University of the Cumberlands. Her professional activities are president of the Georgetown Scott County Friends of the Parks Incorporated, president of the Kentucky Association of Nursing Students at BCTC Lexington, the Kentucky State PTA Reflections Committee Chairman, the Kentucky District 12 Treasurer, and the Bluegrass Care Navigators Community Outreach Member. And this is what Lisa has to say. I truly believe that as a nurse, it is my duty to serve others and to help advocate for all patients. Should I be elected to be a member at large of the Professional Nursing Practice and Advocacy Cabinet, then I would bring a variety of experience from working in a non-magnet hospital, home health, and home and inpatient hospice, as well as a magnet hospital. It is an honor and a duty to serve others, and that includes my peers as well as patients and their families. I also have over 10 years of board experience at the state and local levels. My goal is to be a transformational leader, to listen, to remain calm, and to seek evidence-based solutions for the best outcomes. All right, so that concludes all of our presentations for this evening. Again, I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. I'm truly honored to have been the chair for the Nominations and Elections Committee. I have gotten to know so many great nurses across the state and have found each and every one to be so proud of their profession and so willing to step up and to be a part of this great organization. I now want to turn the program back over to Joanne Ray, our president, so she can give us some closing remarks. And also, before I turn it over, I'm going to say one thing. Remind your friends and your colleagues to vote. It's going to be so important that everybody votes. Voting starts on August the 1st and it goes through August 15th. And we need each and every one of you to reach out to someone and as for all of us to vote in this election. And I really do appreciate it. And thank you all so very much.
Thank you, Mary. I want to really commend the Nomination and Elections Committee. What a fabulous candidate selection you have for every position this year. I am amazed. I'm really think I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the video to determine who I am going to vote for. We have some amazing candidates. So I just want to thank each and every one of you all for being on tonight, listening to the candidates' 3-minute speech about why they want to be part of the KNA. It is so inspiring to hear you all talk about your own enthusiasm about the KNA. And I cannot wait to see what this next year brings for the Kentucky Nurses Association. And please, as Mary said, remind your colleagues that are KNA members to go ahead and watch the YouTube video. I'm not sure when that will be out, but I know Sherry's going to be working on that. So you can send that to your friends that were not able to be on tonight, but also encourage them to vote. We have not in the past had a great participation in our voting process, but this is another opportunity for your voices to be heard on who you want to be a part of the Kentucky Nurses Association. So please remind them to vote. And if you all have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the KNA. There's always someone in the office and we can get back with you if you have any additional questions. And I just want to say thank you for attending tonight and have a great rest of the evening.
All right. Thank you so much, Joanne. And I think this concludes our presentation. See everyone. Good night.
Thank you all. Night.